before we go into the course. There's two things. First of all, the direction of this message isn't for us to be inspired to look for what we are. It's really more about looking at what we're not. Yeah? Because to me, the fundamental obscuring agent of what's happening here, because when people say you are what you're looking for, you just don't fucking feel that, do you? You know what I mean? You feel like you're this, and you've got a lot of troubles, and there's a lot of reasons that you can't be that which you're looking for. So there's an obscuring agent going on, or an obscuring activity that we're involved in. I mean, see, nothing could obscure reality but reality. There's nothing that could happen that could fool reality, except reality fooling itself, in my view. So the obscuring agent must be us. That which we are must be engaged in an activity that seems, which means it's the whole key here. If you look at this idea of dreaming as what's happening here, seems is the word. Because seems means, one of the definitions, it means it appears to be true or false to you. Yeah? So basically everything falls under that category in a way. Everything has the ability to appear to be true or false to you. To me, that sort of implies we must be reality. Yeah? Because how could something false appear real unless it appeared real to what's real? Yeah? How could something false, if it was a real, that was its nature, falsehood, it would stay falsehood. But everything is inherently empty, and there's meaning being given to it, seemingly from us. Not maybe here, but from us. Yeah? So the obscuring activity must be something that reality is engaged with. That would be the dreaming. So reality, in a sense, I believe it's through the act of being identified as something that you're not. Yeah? And in that being identified as something that you're not, you forget what you are, seemingly. You forget your own nature, and you may even be driven to look for it outside. You may join a path or go on a spiritual journey or have a lifelong noble desire to find oneself. Yet you are what you're looking for, you see. So how could that which is looking or what's looking fall under the pretense of looking for itself as something else? There must be something that's happening. Yeah? So like the lion, identified as the sheep, you would think if there was a lion and it heard I'm a lion, from a lion to a lion, it would be pretty clear direct communication. Yeah, there would be no retreats, or it would be like a 2-minute meeting. Hey, you're a lion. What? Oh, and then you would wake up. Not that you were a lion, you'd wake up that you're not something. Yeah, because you would be under a delusionary effect of being a sheep. And that's what you need to wake up from. No one's waking up. You're awake. Yeah? We're all inherently awake, but we wake up from something. See, we wake up from the idea of being a sheep. Yeah? So therefore, instead of looking to become like a lion as a sheep, you see from the lionness that you see the activity of sheep. And you see, I'm not that. Yeah? It's the same. The direction is really important to me, because if not, that which you are will be projected as a place you want to arrive at, yeah, as that which you're not. It can't be corrected by the process. Looking for what you are isn't going to correct itself. It's going to keep repeating. If you're looking for what you are from what you're not, it's going to reinforce that you are what you're not. That's what it's going to be used for. It's like you're looking this way, but the projection it produces an image here. So the looking for God, the God is just an idea. It's like a surface where the light bounces off, and it comes a spotlight on you, an imaginary you, a shadow you. Yeah. So the direction of the message is important, because if you waste a lot of time trying to become like a lion as a sheep, while you're a lion at every point, there's a flawed mistake there that only gets reinforced by applying a solution to it, yeah? So if the sheep just tries to become like a lion, it reinforces the idea as being a sheep. So this is just like, let's look at the sheepness, yeah? Let's see, so this meeting is all about duality and dualism. It has nothing to do with non-duality, because non-duality needs nothing to do with it, yeah? It just is. But you gotta see what ain't, in a way. Because right now, that which is in a sense looking for itself from the platform of being something else. So all that's needed is for the lion to be corrected concerning the idea of the sheep, not to keep trying to correct the sheep, yeah? Because you're not, yeah? So just see what you're not, and in seeing what you're not, that's the sense of what you are. That's how the intimation occurs. You see what you're not. Instead of trying to look for what you are from what you're not, you see what you're not from what you are. That's the direction. All right, and then the second thing is the message is never directed at you. Because you hearing about the Buddha goes nowhere. It goes into Buddhism in a way, which is fine. Yeah? But if the message is heard by the Buddha, and the message is to the Buddha, and it informs the Buddha about you, the Buddha realizes I'm not that. Yeah? So the direction, again, it's a different direction. The message isn't being directed to you, nor from this you. Yeah? And if you don't have to be a professional target hitter if you're throwing into everywhere. Everywhere, you know, just throw it up. Like toss the ball behind your mental reach. You know, like when they start the basketball game, you maybe throw it 25 feet. Neither of them can reach it. That's a whole new ball game. Yeah? So you throw it up higher, everywhere may get it, and then everywhere goes, hey, this is exactly what happened to me. In a lot. This isn't how it happened. This is how as this was informed it was happening. See? I had no idea what was happening, but this event one night informed me that it was happening. By seeing, when I read this sentence in the recovery program, being convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us, I saw self as a foreign installment. I saw it as a parasitical mental thing. All you need to do is see it as other. If the real seeming obscuring activity is identification, all that you need to do is see that which you're identified as other. And then the possibility of freedom from it becomes available. And usually what happened with me, when that occurred, it showed me in a flash that I'd been trying to be free as it most of my life. I was trying to be free as what I'm not, when the freedom is from what I'm not, yeah? And because I'm not that, it doesn't take any time to be free from what you're not, because you're not that. You know what I mean? It doesn't take any time to be freed from a non-existent thing, because it doesn't exist. Yeah? You're the only existing there is. You're the only reality there is. So the message isn't to you about Buddha, it's to Buddha about you. It isn't to you about mind, it's to mind about you. See? So you're basically teaching duality and dualism. You're trying to show that right now we're in a subject-object dualism. Yeah. We're an object, you can see it, but this object is also crowned to be the subject. It believes it's the one that's seeing and hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. And even the thought system, sometimes you're thought about as an object, and then sometimes you feel like you're the thinking. Yeah? You're the one who's thinking. That's the subject. So you're in this subject-object, like little Play-Doh thing, with this, and it's such a stretch to try to keep this as the long-lasting, independent, separate continuum. There's so many gaps all fucking day. Yeah, just don't close your eyes and listen to the sound of water. There's no sense of triangulation. You know, you're just lost because you can't identify yourself. You can't. The GPS can't pick you up. Yeah, the GPS needs you as a body and needs a lot of directions and needs the thought system to keep remembering what you're not as you. If you do something you love, like surf or something else, then in those periods, those times, you forget what you're not. Yeah? And therefore there's like, you feel, oh, that was a peak experience, so I'm going to keep fucking surfing because I want to have that absence. I want to feel the absence of what I'm not. Well, the absence of what I'm not is inherent. You're not that. The freedom from a non-existent thing is inherent because it doesn't exist. Yeah? So the message is to that about you, not to you about that. Though you're going to think you're here and hearing the message. The action figure has a system that is in self-centeredness. I think it's a waste of time trying to fuck. It's like trying to dye a black cloth white. It's not going to fucking work. You know, this has its source code, and it has its limitations, and it's not a chariot to the fucking gods. It's a utilitarian situation. It's an interface so experiences can happen, yes? But that which we are is not experience. It can't be. You'd have to be something else to experience it, yeah? You cannot, that which is seen cannot be seen. That which is hearing cannot be heard. That which is feeling cannot be felt. You know, you can know everything else, but you can't know yourself. You can only be yourself. You can study everything about what you're not. You can study self unbelievably. There's systems that study self, the Enneagram. They categorize selves 9 and with couple subdivisions, so they captured in 27 appearances, the same thing. But understanding and learning about those appearances should lead to, and I'm not that, instead of another identification. Oh, because they use numbers, I'm a 5 or I'm a 7, yes? No, you learn it, it's sort of like astrology. You know how many people, Aquarians, have read the Aquarian horoscope, and how many of the Aquarians thought, hey, that's pretty fucking the mark, yeah? They do, really. But it's a total generalized thing. It's not like pinpointing to you, but because you were built in a Ford factory in a certain, like 1948, yeah, a Pinto division. You drive like a Pinto, you smell like a Pinto, you turn like a Pinto. And in this case, you would say, then, therefore you're a Pinto, but then there's another step, and you're not, yeah? Because that which can be known cannot be that which is knowing. So you get negated, in a sense. That's the beauty of it. So non-duality means not two. It doesn't mean one. It doesn't. It doesn't mean, oh, I'm in the space of there's no fucking space of non-duality. There's like, I've entered the non-duality zone. No, this is war. It's not like, all right, the non-duality monthly paper. What's new for non-duality in 2018? Absolutely fucking nothing. You know, we found an extreme version of non-duality. No, you fucking didn't. Yeah, no, we made it into something else. We've hybrided it with fucking Kabbalah. No, you haven't. You can't. There's no adding or subtracting from nothing. The best thing to do is just leave it alone, and it'll become everything. Yeah, because the greatest change comes from no change, really. That's the greatest change. The greatest influence in that which comes and goes isn't that which comes and goes. It's that which is. That's the greatest influence. Yes? As Jesus says, you're in this world, but you're not of this world, which is an incredible negation. So, because we all know what it's like to seemingly be in this world, and he says you're not of this world. Yeah? He doesn't start describing what you're of. He lets you feel what it's like to be in the world, because we all have that experience. See? The experience this isn't an experience. What you are cannot be experienced. It's experiencing everything. It cannot be available to what you are to experience what you are. Only what you're not believes it can experience what it is. All right, so let me go here. So that's a long preamble to this. So, the Course in Miracles, I ran into it a few times. The first time I would just see it in people's houses, like when I was traveling, this blue thing, and it looked more like almost like a religious thing, you know, it had a certain look to it. So I didn't really, and it had a lot of words, you know. Not that I like pictorials better, who knows, but there was a lot of words, and it was a little thick for me. So, but then I got reintroduced to it. It came around, which is beautiful. And then this time, it triggered a lot of laughing, incredible laughing, because it was amazing to have what I took to be so real explained. Yeah. I mean, to see that all the walls and the bricks of the house I thought I lived in were just paper mache. It was all fabricated. It was hilarious to me. Yeah? And so I stuck with it. I got involved in it somewhat. And I loved its take on this place as a dreaming. You know, it would call it a dream, but I think that's giving it too much credit. I would say it's dreaming. It's an activity, has no beginning or no end, yeah? And the dreaming never culminates into a dream, it's just dreaming, yeah? It doesn't become anything, it just appears a lot to become, and it appears to, it was and will be, but it doesn't, nothing ever happens in a way, yeah? Just like at night when you're dreaming, it seems so real, but when you wake up, you know, you're not in prison, thank God, or whatever it is, you're in the bed that nothing, even the pillow isn't that messed up, yeah? It had no effect, seemingly. All right. So this description, to me, is one of the clearest description of what we're not, which is that's all I'm keen on. I really am. I am so tired of having that direction sold out here of let's shoot for what we are. I'm so fucking tired of it. There's just too much room for you in there. Yes? Jesus Christ. You wouldn't, well, whatever. This is what I really love about this message. It cuts that thing at the umbilical cord. It doesn't let it even get a breath. Yeah? It's just a negation, no affirmation. And then you're the affirming quality. Not needing to seek for affirmation, you are the affirming quality. The beingness is in and of itself its own evidence, yeah? It doesn't need a lot of advertising, it doesn't need a lot of hoopla. It's just that you're awake to being awake, yeah? You've woken up from the idea of being what you're not, yeah? That you wake up from, but you do not wake up. The waking up is there, completely. You can seem to be awake, and you can seem not to be awake. Neither of them change the fact of awakeness. You are awake, yeah? But here, in time, you can seem, it can appear to you, if especially when there's the identification as this, it appears a lot to you that you're not awake. That's why you get pissed off when other people are awake, and you realize, I've gone to a lot more meetings than they have, and fucking, or I took this more, or I did that more, and there's always like, they're fucking, well, how am I losing this race to awakeness? I've got the best shoes, I've read every book, watched every DVD, kissed asses, you know. How did they get it? Whatever. So, all right, so here it goes. We have heard a very similar description earlier, but it was not of you. So another part in the book, which I cannot find, they were describing what we're not. And he says, all right, yet we have heard a very similar description earlier, and this is the key, but it was not of you. You can describe what you're not. There can be extreme, incredible descriptions of the activity that is reinforcing the idea of what you're not. You can see it. Yeah? It's all out there. You are before the thoughts. You are before the audience of one in this little auditorium. Do you see people's thoughts appearing out here for everyone? No. It's a show going on. The mental state is attempting to play to the empty auditorium, which is what we are, that empty space. Yeah? It's attempting to sort of keep implying and reinforcing this idea, hey, you, nothing, you're something. Yeah? And you're something to be worried about. And you should try to promote it. And you're very fragile, it could be hurt, and things could be taken away. Yeah? Yeah. All right, so yet we have heard a very similar description earlier, but it was not of you. But still, this strange idea, what's the strange idea? You're a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. You're the doer. That every verb must have a noun. If there's doing, there must be a doer. Someone's going to be pinned for it. Yeah? If there's seeing, there must be a seer. If there's hearing, there must be a hearer. This is the strange freaking idea. But still this strange idea, which it does accurately describe, you think is you. There you go. That's it. Exactly. Yeah. The doing is claimed to imply the doer. Yeah. Then there's a lot of thinking about you as a doer. You go over, I shouldn't have done that, I should have done something else, I hope I don't do it again, da-da-da. Yes, it just triggers an avalanche of mental fucking confetti. Yeah, it just falls all fucking day. Once it triggers, it's like, you do the yodel and the avalanche, it's just like, you don't even have to yodel much. Just one little thing triggers the blow up doll. It's there. And so the thinking, yeah? The thinking reinforces the idea of being the thinker. So the doing, the feeling, all the stuff that's happening has been claimed by some movement up there. There's no up there, but a claim, and it's using the doing to imply the doer, that's all. And there's a lot of doing happening through all of us, yeah, all day, and so it's got a pretty good way of constantly reinforcing this idea that it's entertaining by claiming what is happening to imply what isn't happening. Yeah? The only way you could really arrive at something that's not happening to be happening is by claiming what is happening to imply it. You know what I mean? It would be a heavy chore to make something that's not happening appear to be happening. It would have to have a lot of reinforcement. So what happens? The head claims what is happening, thoughts, feelings, actions. Yeah, these are happening. Yeah, claims everything that's happening to imply the one that it's happening or doing it or being done to by it. Yeah. It gets to the point of being so by I was so and I'm going to be so. Really. The thought system's constantly thinking about you in the past, picturing you in the past as a body, and then it's worrying, and which is another form of remembering you. It's worrying about you as a body in the future. So it was, I was Paul, I will be Paul, therefore I am Paul. It can't arrive at I am because there is I am already, the onness of awareness, yeah? But see, then Paul comes, then it's I am Paul, and then basically it's Paul that I am from then on, yeah? The I am now is claimed to imply you. When you feel on, you feel you're on, Paul's on, the body Paul's on. You don't feel it as spirit. Watch it. You check it out. If you think of spirit, you're framing it as you as a body. The system can't extract itself. It can't forget itself. The system is self-centeredness. Whatever it comes in contact, it uses to refer it back to the frame of me as the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the haver, which is represented by the body. The body represents all of the claiming. Yeah? The body doesn't represent doing, it represents the doer. It represents the feeler, the hearer, the thinker, the touch, It doesn't represent, oh, I am the vehicle of consciousness. No, I'm the one who's seeing. Really, doesn't it? It's not saying, oh, this humble body has this great opportunity. The Spirit's, no, I'm seeing, I'm feeling, I'm tasting, I'm hearing. So the expression of consciousness is just claimed to be, I'm doing it. You know, I'm conscious, which is really a drag. Once consciousness is claimed and it says I'm conscious, most of the time it really believes it's unconscious. So now it has a drive to become more conscious, and there isn't any more. You know, you can appear more conscious here as this little like bird-like little conditioning, but all there is consciousness. There's no more or less in what we are. Yeah? Yeah. All right, so, but the strange idea, we may not get through this. But because this gets me off, you see? Because, you know, can you imagine being a marathon runner in a closet for 50 fucking years, and then you ever see they show those YouTubes when those domesticated cows finally get released, and they're even jumping, you know, they're like fucking galloping, they're so fucking happy, you know, that their teeth's not pulled for the same thing with mind. When mind hears something that's worthy to be entertained, you know? Not to pass time, you know, but it's just glorious, really. And ever since it hit me, it's always jacked me up every time. Every time I read this, it just jacks me up so much because, I mean, it's difficult to come to this point of delivering the message. It's difficult to emphasize the identification as what you're not, because it's so easy to try to describe conceptually what we are, or say love, where all we are is love. But to me, all those messages seem to get short-circuited by the one who's hearing the message. So the obscuring agent distorts the description of maybe what we believe we are, like love or emptiness, buoyant awareness. But I believe the biggest influence in that event of hearing it is what's hearing it. So if I'm identified as Paul, when it hears that message, I've seen it neuter it completely. And I don't assume to be so unique to others. I think we're all built similarly. And I really believe the speed of the identification as the one is so quick that no process out here is going to out-process it. I just don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. I've seen people have incredible fucking experiences, and still it comes back. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people assume, all right, this was a big enough motherfucking spiritual explosion, but a day or two later, they're writing blogs. The sense of self seems to adapt quite well with the new paradigm, which to me is like the same old paradigm if you're in it. But hope burns eternal. We just don't want to be what we seem to be. It's too boring. It's too unspecial. This can't be it. It's a crushing landing. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so reason would tell you. So now the Course uses the statement reason would tell you. You could say wisdom, you know, but it uses reason would tell you. So it's basically saying if something was not obscured, it would be obvious. Yeah. But reason would tell you that the world you see through eyes that are not yours must make no sense to you, obviously. Yeah? Let's say, reason would tell you that the world you see through eyes that are not yours. This is what they're talking about, yes? They're not talking, where are those eyes? No, they're talking about these. These are the eyes that are seeing the world, and these eyes are not yours. Yeah, yeah. That the eye that you see through eyes that are not yours must make no sense to you. To whom? This is a question. This is like, all right, here's one of the spiritual shoes. Try it on. To whom would seeing such as this send back its messages? So self-centeredness is a form of seeing, right? Self-centeredness. We're thinking we're a thing and we're looking at other things and this is a real place and stuff like that. So that information. Now, to whom is that information being sent back to? Yeah. Interesting question. He's going to answer it down the road. He said, to whom would seeing such as this send back his messages? Surely not you. I mean, it's basically saying, hey, surely not you. Come on. Give up the fucking ghost. Surely not you. Whose sight is wholly independent of the eyes that look upon the world. So the sight we're talking about isn't vision. It's awareness. Yes? So the sight, the true seeing, is not vision. Vision is a form of looking that's co-opted. It's programmed. You see things. Yeah? You don't see no thing. Seeing is awareness, let's say. Yeah? That seeing is independent of the eyes that see the world. Yeah? If this is not your vision, all right, so to whom would seeing such as this send back its messages? Surely not you, whose sight is wholly independent of the eyes that look upon the world. If this is not your vision, what can it show to you? It's not your vision. That's what can a failed system show you? It's failed. That's the point. That's the point. We were talking today about, free samples like a chocolate in a box, yeah? Free samples. You take a couple and then you go somewhere else. You don't keep eating the whole you just don't live on samples. The samples lead you to entertain a possibility that if you keep eating the sample, you're basically causing yourself a denial of that possibility by being engaged in eating all the samples. A sample is you get a fucking taste and then entertain, see where it takes you. Yeah, that's what a message is. A message doesn't have a period at the end of it. It's not ended at a paragraph. You add on to it. The message, if the raw mind is there, which I know it is, if it can get a little scrap of what you call, oh, I heard that little sentence, that sentence can be like a never-ending avalanche of sense-feltness. Yeah. All right, if this is not your vision, what can it show you? The brain cannot, so now he's getting down to the nitty-gritty. The brain cannot, and you don't have to believe it or not, to me it's an offering. I think it's one of the clearest, but whatever. The brain cannot interpret what your vision sees. It can interpret what these eyes see, which it does all day. That's the narration we're listening to all day. Yeah, but it cannot interpret the vision. It can interpret what awareness is seeing. Yeah, because all there is seeing. The brain interprets, this is important here, it says, the brain cannot interpret what your vision sees. That you would understand, please. This is what basically, this basic understanding can weaken this identification as what you're not. Because it's in the reliance on the systems of the system that causes us to be identified as the system, yes? The reliance, if you looked at reliance, like in AA we say, says, why are you in so much fear today? And then he answers, isn't it because self-reliance has failed you? So, all right, I hear that, but then I entertain the idea. What would be the highest form of self-reliance would be identification as. Yeah? Can you imagine? You can't be more relied on something than take yourself to be that fucking something. Yeah? So, I mean, we're talking about fear being produced by self-reliance. How about incredible identification? Lots of fear. Yeah? A lot of this, a lot of this. Yeah? Self-reliance is pale in comparison to identification as. You're so reliant on it, you're taking yourself to be it. That's mind-boggling. Yeah? That's freaking mind-boggling. When I did cocaine, which I did quite a lot of, I never thought I was coke. I didn't turn into cocaine. I did so much cocaine, I loved it so much, but I never became identified as coke. We're starting there. Talk about an addiction. We're starting at being identified as the fucking drug. The idea of being a doer, thinker, feeler, taster, toucher. That's the addiction. We're way beyond cocaine addiction. We're so addicted, we have no idea we're addicted. We keep getting addicted to other things based on this addiction. The brain can, so here, this you would understand. The brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. Taking information in. The brain organizes information based on you as a body. All the information, hearing, feeling, tasting, speculating, conceptual, all of it is being used, it's being collated and interpreted to the body. Yes? Now, if you're not a body, what more message do you need? What's being relied on interprets this whole world to the body. I'm not a body. That system isn't reliable because I'm not getting the messages that are for me. The messages are being collated and dropped off so we can interpret everything to this. Yeah? And it's not fucking working. I've experienced tons of things. None of it ever satisfied it. You know, I was brought to the point of death through a lot of drug use many times. Nothing. The movie keeps continuing. You know, I've sat and watched mandalas appear in front of me, meditating 14 hours a day, and having the wheel of life move on all different sections of it at different speeds. Fucking incredible show. Fucking nothing happened, really, fundamentally. Yeah? Maybe the truth is nothing ever happened to him. Maybe that's the key. Maybe that's the key. Nothing fucking ever really happens. Yeah? Who knows? All right, so let's go here. I just don't see how, it's such a perfect sentence. The brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. So that your thinking is getting to you isn't getting to the you are. It's getting to the you're not. To do what? To support and reinforce the you that you are? No. To reinforce and support the you that you're not. To the point that you'll look for what you are from what you're not. Listening to all this fucking narration and interpretation, all the information being collated, it's obvious I'm starting here, and now I'm going to go on a spiritual search to find my true self when you are that which is looking to find that which is looking. I mean, you should hear the squeal of a brake being put on. You know, boom, get off the bus. It doesn't matter what neighborhood it is or where. Just fucking, I'm off. I love beautiful rides, but there's a point that maybe it's something other than a beautiful ride. Maybe. I don't know. But hey, all right, so the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part, but what it says you cannot understand. So it's talking to the you as different than the you that we take ourselves to be, because the you that we take ourselves to be seems to understand all of it. It keeps listening to it, doesn't it? For 60 freaking years. Yeah. So of course it's pointing to there's a you that doesn't understand all this shit. Yeah? It doesn't. It doesn't understand how the importance of the day is put on yesterday and tomorrow. It doesn't. It doesn't make any fucking sense to it. It really doesn't. you know. All right? So you have not realized, and long, but what it says you cannot understand, yet you have listened to it. What would cause us to listen to something we don't fucking understand? There must be some kind of act of being identified as it. To have that interest be so keen in what we're not, we must be forgetting seemingly what we are, to be so keen on what we're not. Yeah. But what it says you cannot understand, yet you have listened to it, and long and hard you tried to understand its messages. You have not realized it is impossible to understand what fails entirely to reach you. You have received no messages at all you understand, for you have listened to what can never communicate at all. All it can do is narrate. There's no communication there. It's narration. It's interpretation. It's fucking pontification. It's narration. It's critiquing. It's judging. But it doesn't communicate. It just retells and reports and rehashes and this and that, yes. So you get to the point, like in AA we have a thing called, everyone runs into them, resentment. But the word means to refeel. So in a sense, we refeel, we rethink, we rehash, we re-go over, we re. Yes. The system in itself is just in a very small loop. It has a lot of different, backgrounds, geographical backgrounds, but you're on the same it's the same old, yeah. I used to find it out when I go to Thailand. After 3 months in Thailand, it'd be like Burlingame, you know. If I'm there, it becomes known to me, yeah? Yeah, all right. You have received no messages at all you understand, for you are listened to not never communicate. Think then what happens. I'd rather not think then. I would just say, what happens? Don't think. Think then what happens. This is an incredible description of the activity of what we're not, right? So denying what you are and firm in faith that you are something else. Sounds familiar. See, now, many of us, from our starting point, we don't see this as the preamble. We don't see this activity. We're starting from we're at the product point, usually. We don't see the building of the product. We wake up as the product, yeah? So the building of the product is, there's a denying of what we are. I don't feel like I'm doing that all day, but are you affirming what you're not all day? Yeah, that's a denial of what you are. So, denying what you are. And this is important because I have a whole thing about what I think faith is. Yeah. Denying what you are and firm in faith that you are something else. This is the key. For that something else to continue to be seemingly you, it has to be driven by faith. That's the force of mind, big mind, yeah? Not of faith, not like Islam or Buddhism, faith. And it's like an energy that's neutral until you put it into a certain vehicle, and then it manifests through that vehicle. So if it's in the vehicle of the thought system, if there's faith in thoughts, it's going to produce lots of anxiety out of what's not happening, really, yeah? Those thoughts can't produce effects by thinking about next week. The faith being implied as you, as the thinking about next week, that can produce an effect, yeah? If there's if it's me thinking about next week, I can produce an effect by next week, with next week. The faith in me as being the one that's gonna be next week, and that the one that may get fucked by what's going to happen next week, firm in faith in that produces the effect now. Only faith could do that. Only faith. Firm in faith, denying what you are, and firm in faith that you are something else. This something else that you have made to be yourself. I mean, how more obvious is the description? There's something else that you have made to be yourself. So the dreaming is dreaming itself as the dreamt. Yeah? Now maybe, just maybe, we're at this point that we like to start dreaming ourselves out of the dream as the dreamt by seeing that we're not the dreamt. Yeah? That's all. By entertaining the possibility, I may not be that. Let's see how it goes. Yeah? And then judge the tree by the fruit. If you feel fucking relief and it's stabilized, and you know, the greatest relief, there's no fucking real enjoyment of it. You're it. You're in it. It becomes normal. Yeah? It becomes stabilized. There's not the joy that people who are really fucked up and when they get relief, that's a joyful experience. That's gone. You don't have that joyful experience. You're in a state of something. There's no, oh, I'm so happy I got relieved. No, there's relief. You miss out on a lot of fucking highs. You do. You do. It's really cool to surrender after you've not surrendered. That's out. That's gone. You're not having, oh, there's no, 5 nights a week, dark nights of the soul. There's none of that fucking shit. It's ordinary, just normal shit. Yeah? I mean, it was much more exciting when I was fucked up. At least there was something to live for, being unfucked up. That's all gone. It's all gone. So denying what you are and firm in faith that you are something else. This something else that you are made to be yourself becomes your sight. All right. It must be the something else that sees this, yes? The mental seeing, self-centeredness, yeah? It must be this something else that sees and as not you. You see, it's beautiful. It's all negation. This is exactly how I feel things should be presented. Describing what we're not to a freaking T as activities, because all we are, what we're not, is not produced by what we're not. It's activity produces it. Mental activity produces the sense of being what you're not. There is no what you're not. You don't have, all right, there's what I am and what I'm not, and there's big tug of war. No, there is no what you're not. It's what I am entertaining what it's not. Yeah? Yeah. And how does it entertain it? Exactly this way. It denies what it is, and firm in faith that it's something else, it starts from there. Yeah? And then it goes, it must be this something else that sees and as not you, explains its sight to you. And I would say ad nauseum. Like fucking on and on and on. It explains its sight. You know what I mean? Your vision would, of course, render this quite unnecessary. You wouldn't have to, you can rely on something that's not based in thought. Yes? I could share with my friend, if you come up and ask, how am I have no fucking clue. Because I don't have a giant surveillance, observational narration head all day checking out how I am. I fucking have no idea. And I have no interest in knowing how I am. Because I know I'm not going to be here for long anyway. Why would I want to say, I'm this, and then I have to, well, stick with me for 5 minutes. I'm this, then. I mean, like tons of different things. Yeah. All right, so. Your vision would, and why not? It says right here, your vision would, of course, render this quite unnecessary. Then why not? If you feel there's some oomph from this download, why not then? If your vision could render this quite unnecessary, why isn't it? Entertain the possibility. He's just said it very clearly. Your vision, which is inherent, yes, it's not like an acquired vision. It's not a polished vision. Yeah. Its vision, inherently empty and brilliant, is already there. Your vision would, could, can, is. Let's add some words to it. Your vision would, could, can, is rendering this quite unnecessary. All this fucking yapping and then trying to cut yourself out of the fucking mental jungle with the newest fucking machete, only to produce more fucking shit to cut. You don't see the cutting produces more shit to cut? So your vision would, of course, render this quite unnecessary. When? Now. Where? Here. But, it says here, yet, if your eyes are closed, that's why it's seemingly not happening, yes? It's appearing once again not to be happening. Even though right there in this room there was that possibility. You can sense it, yeah? Right there. Yet, if your eyes are closed and you have called upon this thing to lead you, that thing is, asking it to explain to you the world it sees, you have no reason not to listen, nor to suspect that what it tells you is not true. You don't. Yeah, there's faith there, and the faith is available to whatever is grabbing the faith, and to me it's the mental state. The mental state is using our own light to project a picture of us. Yeah. Asking it to explain to you the world it sees, you would have no reason not to listen, nor to suspect that what it tells you is not true. Reason would tell you it cannot be true because you do not understand it. Really, do you understand it? Do you understand it really? You should be worried about money when you have money. I would imagine that having money would cause you to be not having to worry about, you should have to be worried about money, you know? Now, I'm not saying there's a certain amount you have to have. Maybe just a little is enough. But there should be a lot of ease and comfort available to us, yeah? When we're relying on vision instead of relying on these eyes and the mental narration that cannot communicate, yeah? So basically, it's like watching where there's a football game, we seem to be in it, but our attention, our helmet is picking up the narrator of Howard Cosell's description of the game. So we're in a game, but we're not actually engaged because we're just listening to the color guy talking about, oh, they're really losing today. What? You know, I thought I was feeling pretty good there. Oh, they have no chance. What? You know what I mean? So it's not collating to what's happening. It's right now I feel totally okay. I mean, really. And I didn't know, but as soon as there's an inspection, you're going to find something. When you're looking for something, you're going to find it. They did that thing with the light. Remember the famous thing with they're checking out light? And so they had one research group. They were going to look for light as a particle. So light appeared as a particle. Then another group, they were going to look for light as a wave. Then the light appeared as a wave. And they realized the light was appearing to something, which is us, reality. Basically at our beckoning, you know. We were looking for it as a particle. Light appeared as a particle. Wave, a wave. Yeah. Yeah. So, I really feel if you can hear descriptions, and they fit, don't they? I swear. Doesn't this hit you somewhere? This is not like an analytical dry. It's describing maybe what's happening. You may not have been seeing it, but maybe now you will. Yeah? Because if it produces its effect, you'll be looking from it. Yeah? When the possibility of seeing it is always available. You can see the production, and you can see all the pointing, and then there's a realization, it's the pointing, there's faith firm in the pointing to imply that there's the pointed at. It's only the faith of mind dreaming. And maybe the mind right now would rather let that faith go some other direction. Yeah? And therefore the dream will start looking better, you'll travel lighter, and you'll dream yourself out of the dream. Yeah? And the dream will get happier as you do. That's not a bad description of an exit of that which you could never have been in to begin with. So it's a nice exit, isn't it? No rush. They'll say, you only have 20 minutes to dream yourself. No, you're in the act of dreaming yourself out of the dream. I would say satsang is sort of that. And hopefully, through the dreaming yourself out of the dream's getting happy. Or to me, lighter. I don't like the word happy, but lighter. And really, what more do you want than that? And have faith in satsang. Have faith. Because the head would expect you to think, it's got to be so much more. There must be so much more demanded of me. No, there isn't really. You don't have to devote or dedicate yourself to this. It's probably better not to. You really want to just have a loss of interest without you being interested in losing interest. Yeah? You want to have a loss of interest where, I mean, really, I feel like, we're always a fraud, but I feel it's so bogus if someone thinks this is a spiritual meeting, because I have absolutely no spirituality whatsoever in me. I've checked. There's not one drop of it. Not one. And either that's complete success, I don't know, but that which has been lost interest in, had no interest in that as an arrival. It didn't. It had a lot of, it really wasn't that good at anything except drug use. And then when I was a house painter, I wasn't really that good, but it had a lot of identification as a spiritual seeker. And it really believed spirituality was more noble than other things here. And that it was a noble endeavor, but it was really just attempting to get a better reflection of self by self, really, to tell you the truth. Because wanting to know God, the emphasis will be on the knower of God, not on God. Yeah? You'll just be seeing yourself in your journey. That's my feeling. Yeah. So, yeah. This mathematics has the primary number 0. The mental mathematics is primary number is 1. Yeah. 1, none of the formulas are going to work with that 1 in it. And the 1 can't extract itself. Self can't get out of self. So there's a seeing that you're not the 1. Yeah, that's the extraction. See, the way you escape is by realizing there was nowhere to escape from. That's the escape. Yeah. The way you get out is to realize you weren't in. Just like the way you really get that you're completely in the moment is realizing you could never be out of the moment. That's how it works in life. I'm describing how it panned out. It panned out that way. Yeah? I didn't learn a method to escape. I saw that which I wanted to escape from was imaginary. Yeah? And I truly saw that when I attempt to escape from an imaginary place, I give that imaginary place a reality. Unbelievable reality. It's just like they say, see, the observation distorts the observed. You can't get that quality out of you. You are in all the equations. Yeah, and you're the biggest distorting factor in all of them. When you're looking for the truth, you'll be fucking blind to it completely. Because it's the looking that's the blindness, yeah? Yes. This is more of a finding out what you are by realizing what you're not. Instead of trying to realize what you are for what you're not, you realize what you're not and find out what you are. Yeah? Just telling you, that's just, instead of, following the crumbs, it's a different, yeah. So I feel like I got him down. Throw over the head. The idea of looking for what you are for what you're not doesn't work. So maybe look at what you're not from what you are. Yeah? I think that works. Message isn't to you. That works. Yeah? You can't get into the moment because you've never been out of it. You can't get out of self because you've never been in it. Yeah? Feel it at those directions, because you'll see the GPS that we're listening to, its maps are fucking, they're gerrymandered, they're jury-rigged. Yes, they are completely. And so you want to introduce like another logic to that system, so it hits it and opens up a possibility. So how can, just like in AA, when you come in and they say, hey, you gotta, you have it by giving it away. Well, no coke dealer ever practiced that, okay? So you're like, wait a minute, what? You have it by giving it away? And then people say, well, you have to have it to give it away, but I believe if you're willing to give it away, you have it. Now that's a different logic. That my head doesn't work that way, yeah? And then it's funny, when you see what works from the failed system will say, oh, that's paradoxical. No, that's just the failed system. It can't recognize what works. It can't from what doesn't work. Yeah, because it's taking what doesn't work, working. So it doesn't want to, it would be totally negated by seeing what works, because then you would realize, hey, this is a fucking failed system. Yes? Yeah. So that's that, eh? We want to eat. We're all hungry, I think. I am. Anyways. What? Questions? No, that's it. All right, let's pass the basket.